about the way it was worn, like the baggy style?
The baggy style didn't come in until relatively recently, in the early 90s. The baggy style is an interesting story of how that came about. When you go to jail, they take away your belt and they take your shoelaces away. That was the whole idea behind Run DMC not wearing the shoelaces, because when you would go to jail, is that? It's okay? Everything's cool? Wait. When you would go to jail and you would come home, they develop, and this is a very interesting thing to understand about street fashion. Unfortunately, a lot of the best and the brightest from urban communities go to jail. These people, when they go to jail, they still have their sense of style. That's what's interesting about style. It's not about money, it's about how you wear what you have. And in jail, because you don't have no belt, because you don't have no shoelaces, you still want to look cool. So what happened was guys would, the pants would naturally sag down, and guys would so your underwear would be showing. So at the time, the style was you would wear nylon underwear, like nylon boxer shorts and matching tank tops. And that was a very big status symbol. So being that your pants would sag, you would have your nylons, put your nylons up, and then you had your tank top, and you was like, yo, what's up? You know what I mean? That was a style, let your pants sag. That was a jailhouse style. So guys would come home from jail, and they would be like, yo, fuck it, because unfortunately, this is one of the sad things about the ghetto. Being that so many people go to jail, this is an interesting thing about black culture and about black slang. What's bad has to be turned into what's good, or what's bad is made to seem, how do I say this? That's where the origin of the word bad is, because I wrote a book about slang. I don't know if you know about it. It's called Words and Phrases of the Hip Hop Generation. And bad is good. Like, yo, money, that shit is bad. Or that's dope. Those are all bad things. But you turn it around. So jail is bad, right? But because most of the people grow up in the ghetto, a lot of them know they're gonna go there. You be going there like, yo, I'm gonna go to jail, I'm gonna do my time and shit, and I'm gonna still be a cool motherfucker when I come home and shit, you know what I mean? And whatever you gotta wear, you just gonna represent it. And it's because of your character. If you stand there and drop your pants to your ankles and you walk around, if you do that shit long enough, people gonna be like, yo, man, I'm gonna start dropping my pants to my ankles, man. Cause look, that motherfucker is cool, he doing it. Because I used to hear stories about guys would be walking around in jail, they would just let their pants drop. And niggas was like, yeah, what? You know what I mean? Nobody would fuck with them because they was like, yo, that nigga's crazy, man. He let his pants drop and shit. You know what I mean?
That's super bad.
Like, super bad. Like, don't fuck with him. Don't even think he's crazy because his pants drop. He might turn around and fuck you up. Because another thing about jail, to survive jail, you got to be good with these. Like these. So guys that was good, they would come home, it would be like, yo, money, that kid was knocking motherfuckers out. Yeah, he was doing that. Yo, that's my man and shit. So when he would come home, it was like, that's how the term, like this word called a joint. People used to use that as a slang. Well, yo, money, that's the joint. That's the joint. Yo, I like them shoes. Them is the joint, money. That comes from jail. Jail is the joint. So it was like weird. When seeing this shit happen, I used to be thinking about it in my head going, damn, that's so wild. Like, jail is cool, but I knew it wasn't. But that's the trap you be in when you in the ghetto. Like, fuck it, man. If I go, it don't mean nothing to me and shit. So I'm gonna just get my money now. If I do my time, I'm gonna be a cool motherfucker in jail. You still ain't gonna, so it's weird. But that's where a lot of style comes from. So the whole baggy pants thing, the guys that went to jail a lot, they would come home and still wear their shit like that. Be like, yeah, because it looks wrong too. That's what makes it make like a lot of people look at it and be like, ugh, pants is falling off your ass. Like the more wilder you were, the more you would let your pants hang down. Like I used to see guys would let their pants hang down half their ass and just be walking like, yeah, what's up? Yo, what? I used to be like, damn, shit.
I want to ask you something there. If you have your pants hanging down, you're not really able to move quickly and really react to somebody that attacks you.
You pull them up when it gets on. Like you see a part of the style now, like if your pants is sagging, like a lot of guys, they be doing this a lot. You know what I mean? They just be sagging, they be like, yeah, money, you know what I'm saying? Be a style. You just always be fixing your shit. Always be, pulling your shit up. And then if you run, I bet you pull that motherfucker up and tighten that belt. And you run if you gotta run, you know what I mean? But that's true, that's a good point. You imagine some guys with baggy pants and then they gotta run and shit and they pants for it, be like, oh shit, motherfucker, I'm on the ground and shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, what more you wanna know?
I want to know much more. I want to know, for example, then later on, when Public Enemy came up, the military style came in also. Like
See, most rappers, smart rappers,
so it became even tougher, I think.
yeah, but most rappers really always reflect what's going on the street. They can put a little twist on it, but you don't never want to be too far from what's already on the street. You dig it? So what Public Enemy was doing, they had a concept, they had a specific thing, but there was always brothers wearing military wear on the street, like khaki this, camouflage, you know what I'm saying? That was always going on. They just defined it, and they was also drawing from the Black Panther movement with the berets, you know, the S1Ws would wear the berets and shit, you know what I mean? So they was all, you know, they had a thing too. It wasn't like people started dressing like Public Enemy. Some people did, but it wasn't like it became a big fashion. You dig it?
So can you tell me maybe about the aspects, the functional aspects of camouflage and military clothing?
It's just cool. It's just, you know, there's important things about, you know, street fashion. Once again, it's got to be cheap, it's got to be accessible, and then you got to be the first to wear it and make it cool. You know what I mean? Like if you got style and you live in the ghetto and a lot of people around you and you wearing something different, it's like, yo, look at that shit. But she look good in that shit. And then people start dressing like you. It's simple. And it's functional. It's obviously functional. It's obviously, you know, speaks to a certain situation. You know what I mean? Gives you a little edge. You know what I'm saying?
It also maybe makes
But see, there was a whole thing, though. Another interesting point about fashion was there was also a thing where, with black people in general, and this is a very interesting point, with black people in general, as long as I can remember, dressing up really means something. To dress up on Sunday, to dress up on Easter, to dress up and to be matching and have the, you know, because if you don't have nothing and you're poor, that's something that makes you feel proud. Like, let's put on a good outfit and go to church and let's show everybody that we can display ourselves and we have class and let's celebrate life and everything. But a thing that happened and came out of rap was this whole other kind of aesthetic where it can get rougher, and it didn't have to, like, to go to a club, you didn't have to try to dress up like you were in Dynasty and you could put on a suit. That's all. That all became bullshit. And it was interesting watching that happen because there's a term that we use called keeping it real. So it became like with the street thing, you didn't have to put on that shit no more to go to a club. You know, street people, the bad boys on the street that set the style, never wanted to dress up anyway. They always wanted to do what they want to do. But it began to influence the whole culture because as rap developed video and the images were transmitted the same time everywhere, people began to see what their favorite artist was doing. So they want to follow. They want to pick a person to follow. Like, okay, I'm going to let you lead me. What you wearing? Oh, that's cool. All right, shit, I'm going to wear that too. I like that because I feel what you saying. I like what you represent. I like the way that shit look on. Yeah, that's the new shit. Okay, so that changed the whole style. And then when you had a particular group that was the first ones to always wear that whole camouflage was a group called the Jungle Brothers. The Jungle Brothers was the first brothers I used to see that was on some, like, it wasn't really Afrocentric, but it had an Afrocentric vibe. Like they would, you know, letting their hair go into dreadlocks, you know, a little cultural influence on their whole aesthetic, which interestingly, fashion-wise, also merged with the Jamaican aesthetic, which was also an influence on the street. The Jamaican aspect had a big influence on street fashion because here, once again, you have people that have a lot of attitude, a lot of character. They're not taking shit from nobody. If you step to them, you better be ready to handle your shit. And at first, we used to see them, people used to be like, man, look at the motherfuckers, look at that shit they wearing. They look stupid. Wearing a three-piece suit and high water pants and Earthman shoes and the big hats and shit, you know, the way they used to walk. But then, as the cultures began to merge and people began to live in, I feel, you know, the fashion began to merge. You dig what I'm saying? So that was a big influence. But the Jungle Brothers were the first group that I remember to really wear that whole camouflage army shit, And just like, I noticed it, because I remember I used to see them, I used to be like, damn, them niggas, why they wearing, they in some baggy military shit. And then it became a style because the Jungle Brothers got big, then came De La Soul, then came Jungle Brothers, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest. They was all in one family, so that their style became cooler for a certain segment of hip hoppers that was on that kind of vibe.
Okay, so generally rap music and graffiti writing, DJing, breaking has always been more. It has always been the men were more involved than the women, but still a lot of women just hung out with the guys. So what was the cool style with the women?
The women.
Just a second, we have to change the background.
Yeah. Women, always very important. Women are always a big influence on the hip hop and on fashion in general because guys want women to like what they have on, to like the way they look. But at the same time, you have this force which is instigating a change in fashion. And so as that change takes place, the aesthetic changes. So whereas a woman might want to see a guy in some jeans that fit him nice and snug, then now she wants to see her man wearing some jeans that's loose and baggy because it became a style. You know what I'm saying? But the women, they always have some interesting shit that they be wearing, you know what I'm saying? Like some women wear baggy stuff, but it never got too baggy for women because women want to show, their femininity to an extent. So they want people to see the shape, what they got going on, you know what I'm saying? Because that's all good.
Yeah, but speaking stylistically, which women were important and influential?
Which women were important and influential? The same kind of women on the street, the same parallels. The woman that stands out, that's attractive, that's confident, that will wear something first, that has a crew of other women that will wear the same thing, and they will go to a party, people will see what they have on and be like, that look good, you know what I mean? And they will instigate a style. I can't give you a specific woman that influenced street fashion, unfortunately, as much as I can give you the names of men, but it's the same type of person in the community that'll do something first. Like, for instance, a big thing with women is their hair now, especially black women. So they can do 1,000,001 things with their hair, like add braids and however you style it and curl it or whatever you do to it. And, that will influence other styles on other women and, and make it cool. But it depends on the kind of woman, because you got some women that keep it really rough and they want to stay rugged looking, and there's men that like that, and then there's women that want to be sexy and want to represent in a sexy style, you know what I'm saying? So that's what they wear.
Okay. I can still ask a question. When rap became bigger and bigger and Run DMC had their contract with Adidas, for example, Public Enemy made this song Shut 'Em Down, where they really criticized the kids wearing the clothes from the big companies.
Yeah.
The companies not bringing the money back to the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Could you say something about that?
Well, that was really good because Public Enemy, one of the things that Public Enemy did was they made people wake up. Public Enemy and people like KRS-One, they were like the conscience of this movement, of this culture. So they would say things that would make you go, yeah, it would be a dope beat, and the way they said it sounded good, but you would listen and be like, that's a good point. So they helped to educate us to that fact. And a lot of people became aware of that, you know what I'm saying, about, yo, man, why don't you support, what's yours and make these people aware. And they had a big impact on the industry. They made the industry aware, like, listen, if these kids are buying my clothes, I better put some advertising in those magazines that they like to read so that these kids will feel that I'm cool, you dig it? So that became important.
Yeah, but still today, kids don't wear their names anymore. It's like more a label thing. Everybody has to wear labels, and the more labels you have, and if you have the right labels, it's cool.
Yeah, but it changes. And what I like, there's obviously some problems with it, but what I like about it is it's like the people from the streets taking those labels for themselves. And it's doing the same thing that these companies want their labels to do, but a whole nother audience is adapting themselves to that style. It's like you want to associate yourself with a product, or you want your product to be associated with a certain individuals. Like Ralph Lauren, for instance, would aim for a long time. His whole ad campaign was very waspy, very white, very elite. But black kids were like, shit, I can wear that too. And they started to steal there's a particular type of a Ralph Lauren thing called polo. And there was a group of kids called the Lowlifes. Polo, Lowlife. And what the Lowlifes, they were from Brooklyn. What they used to do was they would go into stores in Manhattan, Bloomingdale, Saks Fifth Avenue, and it would be like 20 or 30 of them. They would walk into the stores and take all the polo off the rack, just steal it and walk out, like rush out the store. It was called a bum rush. Rush in, like take the whole motherfucking polo section and leave. And the shit would be really big, and they would come back to Brooklyn and always be wearing polo. And then they call themselves the Lowlifes. So that helped make Ralph Lauren a style in the ghetto, and then kids was like, yo, I want polo. Then you have people ripping off the logos and doing their own versions of polo, doing their own versions of Gucci, doing their own version of MCM, Louis Vuitton, and whatever logo is out there to bring it back to the ghetto. Made it a status symbol in the ghetto and made the rich white people mad because they was like, oh shit, oh my God, that's Louis, you know what I mean? Be like, yeah, that's right, what's up, yeah. You know what I mean? Walk by their store on Fifth Avenue wearing that shit, be like, yeah. Be like, how'd you get that? I didn't see that in the store, you know? Now here's an interesting story. I was talking to your friend about it yesterday, and this really was the first real hip hop designer. His name is Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan. That's a term that means a guy that dapper, always dresses sharp. Dapper Dan had a store in Harlem on 125th Street. It was called Dapper Dan's Boutique. And what Dapper Dan would do was he would take the Louis Vuitton logo, the MCM logo, the Gucci logo, all these rich status symbols, and he manufactured clothes in leather, in suede, and he would put the Louis Vuitton logo on it and make it look like something they might have made, but he would design it just for you. And this was in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And his biggest clients were drug dealers and rappers. And the rappers, like, if you get Eric B. and Rakim's album, Follow the Leader, they're wearing it. And a lot of other rappers in that period used to wear Dapper Dan's clothes. Is that bugging you?
So, you would say he was the first designer in hip-hop clothes?
He was the first real hip-hop designer that had an impact
But what
on...
about merchandise, T-shirts?
None of that really mattered at that time. Nobody really that was from the culture was making something that the culture was embracing as a uniquely designed item just for them. You dig it? Like, up until that point, it was like, okay, let's take Lee jeans, or let's take Wrangler, let's take this product, or Polo, or Lacoste shirts, and put it together with a Kango hat. He developed something where you can be completely unique, where you couldn't find that in any store. And it became a really big thing. When I first started doing Yo MTV Raps, I did shows with Dapper Dan. I mean, guys that really had money and like had the fly car. A guy would come there with his girl, and he would design an outfit for him. He would design an outfit for his girl, and then he would have Dapper Dan reupholster the interior of his car with the matching fabric. I mean, leather with the logo of Gucci on it. He would do the interior of your whole car. I mean, it was incredible. And then guys had the jewelry. This was the height of that period, going into the early 90s. It was incredible. Big, fat, gold chains. And everybody was going to LL, Run DMC, Eric B. and Rakim, even KRS-One. He was getting other type of stuff made, but he was still going there. And Dapper Dan had a big influence. What happened, unfortunately, and obviously, was those big stores came and they got an order from the court and they shut him down. But he, at one point, was so big that the people that copy what the street fashion is and then sell it in the little cheap stores started doing versions of Dapper Dan's clothes. and they made up some little fake logo, but it was, as soon as you saw it, you knew it was a Dapper Dan design. And eventually they then raided him and took all his machines, and they put him out of business. But he was before there was a Carl Kanai and a Cross Colors and an April Walker and Mecca and Lugs and all these Echo and 555 Soul and all the like hip hop clothing designers. Dapper Dan was the first. And how he became really famous, let me tell you an interesting story. Mike Tyson used to go there. Like all the cool people in black culture and from the streets used to go there to get clothes if a special event. Yo man, you got that from Dapper Dan? Ooh, that shit is fly money, and you knew it cost some money. So Mike Tyson used to go up there. And there was a guy that Mike Tyson had beat up in a fight. His name was Mitch Green. Mitch Green is from Harlem. So Mitch Green used to always walk around talking about, yeah, if I get another chance at Mike, if I even just see him, I'm gonna whip his ass. So one night, Mike Tyson was at Dapper Dan's store about 2 in the morning. His store would be open 24 hours. Mike Tyson went up there about 2 o'clock in the morning to pick up an outfit. And while he was there, Mitch Green showed up. So Mitch Green was like, Mike said, yo, Mitch, I heard you was talking about me, what's up? Mitch was like, yeah, you punk ass motherfucker, what's up? And they went outside and Mike knocked him out, but he broke a bone in his hand. And it was all over the world that Mike Tyson had this fight in front of a 24-hour boutique in Harlem. And everybody was like, a 24-hour boutique? You know? So Dapper Dan got very famous because of that. But it was interesting. I was just talking about this a few weeks ago, that he really was the first hip-hop designer, because when they shut him down, he was moving away from using all the logos, and he was beginning to just cut and make clothes according to how he saw clothes should be made. And the great thing about Dapper Dan was he had went to Africa when he was a student in college, and while he was in Africa, he met, I think he was in Senegal, he met all these brothers there that he said, look, one day I'm gonna send for you guys, because they knew how to sew really good. So he had a factory where he had all these Africans sewing these clothes for him. And he was beginning to make clothes that had like a very loose, like almost like dashiki type of thing, and very loose, casual, but you know, that was that. And then we had Cross Colors and Carl Kanai that came not long after him and made hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, but today there's so many labels associated with hip-hop fashion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even now you have people, big designers like Tommy Hilfiger and Polo now using black people in their ads, and you know, taking out ads in rap magazines, letting the community know, Timberland and whatever, letting people know that they're acknowledging the impact that that the urban consumer has.
Yeah, but still there are so many labels today that how does the kid from the street decide what is real and what not?
By what's cool. It's still the same formula, seeing somebody really cool in it and liking the way they look in it. A big influence now is what artists wear in videos. Like, it's become such a big thing now. There's one guy in particular, his name is, Chris, anyway, I can't think of his name, but what his job was he would be hired by clothing companies to go, he actually created this position for himself, and they would pay him to go and give the clothes to all the right people. So if somebody was shooting a video, he would go to the video shoot and give them free clothes. Like, one of the first companies he worked with was a company called the African American College Alliance, which was a company that brought the rights to put the names of all the black colleges on t-shirts, like Howard University and Hampton and whatever. And they had a certain style with these stitches on the shoulders, and he would give these clothes to people at video shoots, here, man, here. And then the people would be like, oh, great. And they would wear them in the videos. Then it'd be like a free commercial, and everybody would notice, like, oh, I saw Naughty by Nature with one on. Oh, I seen KRS. I might have seen Fab5Freddy in one. Then when you see it in the store, you're like, yo, I want that shirt. So these companies became huge, and he became huge. He now has his own design company, and he makes millions of dollars now. But he's a smart guy. Big article on him in the Wall Street Journal.
What about your personal style? You think you're influential for many kids, and what are you representing right now?
I've always just tried to represent me. I mean, I never tried to, because my style, I always like to think personally my style is not too wild. I'm street, but I think my style is a reflection of who I am. I mean, and I think you can assess that for yourself. But I mean, I don't, I like to wear what's cool, but I also like to wear what's casual, you know what I mean? Like what I'm wearing today, I usually wear this a lot. I like to wear dark colors, very simple. I don't like it to be too complicated when I dress. I like the way Albert Einstein he said he had only one outfit. He had many pairs of the same pants, the same shirt, the same sweater, because in the morning he said he didn't want to have to waste the time to figure out what to put on, and I really like that a lot. People that influenced me style-wise, a big influence on me in general was Andy Warhol, who pretty much had a uniform. And I think I like that because I like giving, when you're a public figure or when you're in the public eye, I like keeping it simple, but keeping it kind of elegant. So what I'm wearing now is cool in the street. Like I could be on 125th Street with this, or if I gotta go to some dinner or some event, I'll wear this too. Or if I'm going to the Grammys or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm wearing this. And if anybody don't like it, you know where they can kiss, you know? That's how I feel.
So I have one last question, actually 4 short questions. We're doing a slot through the feature, through the documentary, one on jeans, sneakers, t-shirts, and hairstyles. And I would just ask you to say something about jeans, sneakers, t-shirts, hairstyle, and just what comes to your mind, 1 or 2 sentences.
Okay, sneakers, I think about it. There's a term, we used to call them a sneaker pimp. A sneaker pimp was a guy that was like a real fly guy that always dressed good, but he always had a lot of sneakers, and he always keep his sneakers looking good, and of course he's a ladies' man. It's called him a sneaker pimp. It's an old term. Like, used to have guys back in the days, I remember they used to clean their sneakers with a toothbrush. They take their laces out and scrub their laces. Used to be a really highly defined aesthetic, how you wore your laces, and all of that was really incredible. It's not as advanced as it was, but it's still important. And of course, the athletes have a big influence on a particular sneaker style. Jeans, what can you say about jeans? It was a great idea. I wish I had a royalty for every pair of jeans, so it was brilliant. They're good. I don't know. Jeans are cool, but the styles keep changing. I mean, hairstyles, I don't know. I don't think there's any one particular aspect more fascinating than what people do with their hair. I mean, particularly with women, especially black women, who can go from a short bob to long braids, and it changes the whole frame of them. So I always have a problem never remembering them, and I always go, I know your hair was different the last time I saw you, you know, so. But hair is fascinating to me. I like what black women do with their hair, particularly black women, because for a long time, I think the idea of black people straightening their hair had a negative connotation, because the idea used to be like, well, they want their hair to be white, like, or they're not happy with the hair that God gave them. But I think now with the many different things that black women can do to their hair, it's become more like a sculpture to me. I'm always fascinated. And really, what's also really interesting for you guys is in the certain cities like in Washington and Detroit, where hair is an art form. Let me tell you, in Detroit, they have hair shows. They're like concerts. They advertise them on the radio, like the hair show. And all these hairdressers have models that design the hair, and it's really, really amazing. I mean, I love looking at it because to me it's kind of tribal and very like artistic and creative.